Pinakausog.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, good evening. I'm Gina Pablo from Thailand Bureau, and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. On today's headlines.
This is
Finally, a leader after almost a week of political stalemate. Malaysia's perennial opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim was sworn in as Prime Minister before the King in Kuala Lumpur. Meanwhile, a mother is left in grief as she watches rescuers struggle to find her 7-year-old daughter Sika, who went missing after an earthquake killed 272 people in Indonesia. Trafficked, beaten, and imprisoned, far from his family in China, Wu is one of a sad legion of workers lured to work in Cambodia's camp hothouses, swindling people with online romance and crypto investment
They
calls.
switched from gambling to scamming.
So I am very glad to be here in this time. because
Miss
we have
Grand
a lot of
International
organizations
President
like
Nawat Itzharagisil formally launched the Miss Grand Philippines pageant at the Grand Ballroom of Hilton Manila recently. Mr. Nawat apologized as the Miss Grand International is now officially with Miss World Philippines. First, in our news, finally, a leader after almost a week of political stalemate, Malaysia's perennial opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim was sworn in as Prime Minister before the King in Kuala Lumpur Thursday.
this is a unity government. It transcends beyond keadilan, or DEP, or amanah, or OPCO, or Pakatan Harapan. This is a national unity government. All are welcome on condition you accept the fundamental rules of good governance, no corruption, and Malaysia for all Malaysians.
The ceremony at the National Palace closed the chapter on one of the most dramatic elections in Malaysia's history after no party managed to secure a majority to form a government for the first time since independence in 1957. Last Saturday's election produced no clear winner, with neither Mr. Anwar's PH nor Mr. Moon Yudin's PN able to secure a simple majority in the 222-seat lower house. Both leaders were summoned by the King this week in an attempt to break the deadlock and declared Anwar Prime Minister. The 75-year-old's ascension to the premiership caps a turbulent political life, which has not only propelled him into the corridors of power, almost becoming a prime minister a couple of times, but also landed him inside a jail cell for sodomy. He also declared next Monday a public holiday in Malaysia. Seeking to boost the legitimacy of his appointment, Anwar said his coalition would propose a vote of confidence in Parliament on December 19. I quote, his biggest challenge will be to lead Malaysia out of the economic malaise following the pandemic, according to James Chin, a professor of Asian Studies at the University of Tasmania, told AFP. Malaysians are facing soaring food prices, a tumbling ringgit currency, and stagnant wages. O Asun of the Pacific Research Center of Malaysia said Anwar's biggest challenge will be to pass the budget and revive the economy. Malaysia's new Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim meets supporters as he arrives in Sungai Long to give his first press conference. Let's watch this.
I'm here waiting for our finally Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, and I am so excited because I've been waiting for this moment for like so long. I've been supporting him since I was like a little girl because of my dad. He was like Anwar's biggest supporter. So yeah, I'm very excited today. Very, very, very excited.
I am voting Pakatan Harapan is we want to change. Yeah, we want to improve our country, especially our economy. All right, and we has been waiting for almost a week for our new Prime Minister. So during these few days, we are very excited, but we are being very patient.
Firebrand youth activist during his student days, Anwar has spoken of his admiration for Philippine revolutionary hero Jose Rizal, describing him as a true Asian Renaissance man. In 1982, Anwar was recruited into the United Malays National Organization, the party then in the middle of its 60-year domination of Malaysian politics. His star rose, and the suave young politician became finance minister and then deputy prime minister in the early 1990s under then Premier Mahathir Mohamad, bringing a youthful counterbalance to the wily political veteran. They were considered one of the most dynamic duos in the Southeast Asian politics, but their relationship soured over how to handle the 1997-98 Asian financial crisis. Some observers say Anwar had been too impatient to become prime minister, slighting his patron. Mahathir sacked Anwar, who was also expelled from UMNO and charged with corruption and sodomy. Meanwhile, Indonesian authorities deployed heavy machinery, helicopters, and thousands of personnel Thursday in a desperate effort to locate dozens trapped in rubble by an earthquake that killed 272 people, as hopes of finding survivors faded. Some have been pulled alive from the hulk of twisted metal and concrete in dramatic rescues in the town of Cianjur in West Java, including a 6-year-old boy who spent 2 days under the wreckage without food or water. Officials said 39 people were still missing and believed trapped, including a 7-year-old girl, as rescue efforts were delayed by hammering rains and aftershocks. But the rescue of the young boy Azga alive, captured on video, gave relatives and rescuers some hope. Thousands of emergency workers were using excavators to break through blocked roads to get to the villages and deploying helicopters to drop vital aid to people still trapped there. But the BNPB chief said it was too dangerous to use heavy machinery digging for victims because of fears of collapsing structures or more landslides. The rescue operation is expected to continue beyond the 72-hour window viewed as the best period to find victims alive. Meanwhile, a mother is left in grief as she watches rescuers struggle to find her 7-year-old daughter Zika, who went missing after an earthquake killed 272 people in Indonesia. Let's watch this.
Kalau saya pikir anak saya yang nomor 2 yang ketimbun yang pikiran saya gak akan selamat. Gak tahu yang ini nomor 2 sampai sekarang belum ketemu. Saya juga bingung anak saya di mana. Walaupun sudah gak ada nyawanya, saya pengen gratisan dulu. Tapi saya ikhlas. Bagaimana hasilnya saya akan terima dengan ikhlas. Mungkin ini yang terbaik.
Dozens of rescuers had spent most of Thursday using digging tools, hammers, and their bare hands to clear debris in this delicate mission, which was suspended overnight until Friday morning. Sika was found under 3 layers of concrete. The focus of the search had centered on her grandmother's house across the road from the family home, where her mother believed she had been playing when the earthquake struck. Before Sika was found, authorities said 39 people were still missing as the rescue effort continued to be hindered by hammering rain and potentially deadly aftershocks. We now go to northern Kiev, where a veterinary surgeon performs a surgery while his assistant shines a flashlight on a dog being operated on. Ukraine is battling to get water and power to millions of people cut off. This after Russia launched dozens of cruise missiles that battered the country's already crippled electricity grid.
Ми робили операцію.
Да, ми робили операцію і просто виключили світло, тому що був недалеко приліт ракети і стався перебой електромережі. Прийшлося доробляти операції під час того, як вимкнули світло під ліхтарем.
Світла, ні води, ні опалення. У мене ось 2 діток маленьких, я не знаю навіть, що мені робити. У мене газу вдома немає, відключили дуже давно за неоплату. Тобто намагатися щось зробити, я навіть не знаю, що робити. У мене, окрім сестри та 2 дітей, нікого, близьких людей немає. Ось друг мій, Сергій, все, більше нікого. І допомоги навіть я не знаю, від кого очікувати. По сусідам хтось там запропонує, може хтось дасть змогу приготувати на газу, може хтось, як мій друг, там допоможе в плані їжі вже готової. Тобто, вдома дуже холодно, я дітей повдягала вже все, що є. Тобто я сама зараз, майже в домашньому стою перед вами, тому я не знаю, дуже холодно. Ми всі спали в одній кімнаті. У нас ремонт не закінчений, вже декілька років стоїть. Ось і дуже холодно, самі розумієте, голі стіни. А про опалення, верх батареї гріє, трошки нижче руку опускаєш, взагалі лід.
More than 24 hours after Russian strikes smashed Kiev, Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said late Thursday that 60% of homes in the capital were still suffering emergency outages. Water services had been fully restored, however. Ukraine accused Russian forces of launching around 70 cruise missiles as well as drones in attacks that left 10 dead and around 50 wounded. But Russia's defense ministry denied striking any targets inside Kiev, insisting that Ukrainian and foreign air defense systems had caused the damage. The Kremlin said Ukraine was ultimately responsible for the fallout from the strikes and that Kiev could end the strikes by giving in to Russian demands. Trafficked, beaten, and imprisoned far from his family in China, Hu is one of a sad legion of workers lured to work in Cambodia's scam hothouses, swindling people with online romance and crypto investment cons. As attention on the issue has grown, Cambodian authorities have launched high-profile raids, freeing more than 1,000 foreigners from 3 Sihanoukville compounds last month. But international observers and rights groups are skeptical. There are fears that rather than shutting down, the groups are simply relocating.
In the Gulf of Thailand, a once sleepy resort town has been transformed by Chinese investment. But the casinos of Sihanoukville, a hub for Chinese gamblers, have also become a focus for organised crime groups. They've switched from gambling to scamming.
到園區外再想跑咪來不及到。
嗰時冇懷疑佢嘅，不過我有啲 friend 咧就話：喂，小心啊！你網上識人好多騙子㗎喎，你要小心啊！
People from China and Hong Kong to Vietnam and Thailand have been sucked into what a UN official calls a living hell. Buildings that look like nondescript apartments, like these, are actually ground zero for scamming operations. A victim by the name of Lu was attracted to work in Cambodia by promises of high salaries in construction work. But he ended up in a compound with hundreds of other workers unable to leave.
上面现在还有那个呢，还有这个结的这个扎的这个过程中啊，我跑了4次啊，20天的。对，所以说我说的呀，3天一小时，5天一大餐了，反正就这回事儿，反正打不死我就想跑。
Liu and others would seek targets online and groom them to invest in cryptocurrency platforms. They did this by setting up fake online profiles on TikTok, Instagram and WhatsApp. Where scammers once approached their victims over the phone, more and more the trend is to use social network apps under the cover of cryptocurrency investment and targeting middle and high-income earners. Annie, a young professional in Hong Kong, said she was subject to a love scam. She met a good-looking Chinese engineer on the dating app Bumble. He called her almost daily, but they never met in person. She was then tricked into trading cryptocurrency on a fake platform.
其實我覺得疫情係令到好多人孤獨咗嘅，係寂寞咗。咁喺呢個咁嘅時候，有個人日日喺你電，即係話雖然你見唔到佢，但係日日喺個耳邊嗰度同你講嘢，係咪？即係我有時開玩笑，我話其實佢好似提供一種服務咁樣，但係你唔知呢個服務係咁貴咯。
There are fears that cracking down on scammers in one area may push the group simply to relocate to another country.
We're going to need Cambodia to take action with Thailand, Laos, Myanmar, the Philippines. Basically, the ASEAN region needs to come to terms with the fact that the conditions that criminals are looking for are basically scattered across certain parts of this region, very, very favorable to them. So let's put on the table what types of illicit activities, criminal activities are taking place there, how can we address those criminal activities holistically, strategically. If not, we're going to have them bounce around the region and just go from place to place.
Deprived of money and passports, trafficked workers have found it difficult to escape. Cambodian police carried out a string of high-profile raids on scam compounds in the summer. But observers fear those responsible may simply relocate and hunt for more victims.
South Korean truckers staged their second major strike in less than 6 months on Thursday in an action that could disrupt critical global supply chains in sectors from cars to steel. All 25,000 members of the Cargo Truckers Solidarity Union stopped working as part of a long-running protest against the ending of a minimum wage guarantee, Park Yoon-soo of the organization told AFP. With fuel prices rising, the drivers have been demanding the government make permanent the Safe Freight Rate minimum pay scheme, which is set to expire at the end of the year. The administration of Seoul's conservative president Yoon Suk-yeol on Wednesday said it would extend the program for 3 years, but truckers say there is no point unless the scheme becomes permanent. Social Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said President Marcos Jr. is expected to sign an executive order that will cut tariff rates on imported electric vehicles and parts and components too. Let's listen in.
The NEDA board endorsed the EO or executive order modifying tariff rates on certain electric vehicles or EVs, such as passenger cars, buses, minibuses, vans, trucks, motorcycles, tricycles, scooters, and bicycles, among others, including EV parts and components. In particular, the EO will temporarily reduce the Most Favored Nation or MFN tariff rates to 0% for 5 years and completely built up or CBU units of certain EVs, except for hybrid type EVs. It will also implement tariff modification on certain parts and components of EVs from 5% to 1% for 5 years. The NEDA board also indicated that the tariff modifications shall be reviewed after 1 year of implementation with a view to assessing its impact on the development of the EV industry ecosystem. The EO aims to expand market sources and encourage consumers to consider acquiring EVs, improve energy security by reducing dependence on imported fuel, and promote the growth of the domestic EV industry ecosystem.
A commission study by Frost and Sullivan in 2021 showed that the Philippines is one of the countries in Southeast Asia with high readiness in adopting e-vehicles. The study also showed that the significant lowering of barriers has encouraged ASEAN consumers to purchase electric cars. Last month, Ayala Land Incorporated said it would launch at least 20 e-vehicle charging stations across Luzon, which will be present in strategic locations such as malls, offices, estates, hotels, and industrial zones owned by the company. Miss Grand International President Nawat Itzara-Grisil formally launched the Miss Grand Philippine pageant at the Grand Ballroom of Hilton, Manila last night. Mr. Nawat apologized as the Miss Grand International is now officially with the Miss World Philippines. To recall, the Binibining Pilipinas Charities Incorporated announced that it has withdrawn from the Thai-based beauty pageant Miss Grand International and will no longer renew its franchise.
So I'm very glad to be here in this time because we have our own organization belonging by Arnold. This is the new beginning chapter of Miss Grand Philippines for Miss Grand International. Beauty queen from Philippines is a very high potential to be the winner.
So happy, excited to be here today. It's my first time in Philippines and I was planning to come a long time, but I have so many friends from Philippines and all of them, they're amazing, have amazing heart, including my roomie here that I love so much. Honestly, she's gold, so thank you so much for receiving us here so well.
I feel so overwhelmed and super happy because finally I can get to say that I'm back in the Philippines. And we were surprised by so many Filipino fans that supports my MGI sisters. I'm super happy about that. And I'm just like waiting for what awaits us. I know we're going to have like tours here in the Philippines and I can't wait to tour them myself here in my country.
If you want to mention what cooking is, why not? She can cook. But by the way, I respect everyone. I think it's a quite long time. A lot of Philippine fans, maybe some of them don't understand us very well, and they don't know us very well. And some of the rumor and some of the people, they not get along with us quite long time. So that's why they always talking different things. But by the way, I respect them. I would like to let them start again to study step one. Start from step one again. You will know who am I.
I always come to talk, to see their face, try to explain. So the most important, I believe, I say all the time, this is the one of the capital beauty pageant in the world. To make a beauty queen and won so many beauty pageant contests in the world.
Ruby, I love her so much. Not only as a miss, wonderful, but as a person also. So thank.
The early evening event was graced by the presence of the MGI 2022 Top 10 Queens, who were all dressed in white. First runner-up Engfa Waraha of Thailand was the only member of the court who was not present during the affair. The Binibining Pilipinas Charities Incorporated's last Philippine representative was Roberta Camundong. who landed in top 20 during the coronation night in Indonesia last October 25. 5 days later, however, the MGI organization appointed Mundong as one of the 5th runners-up of Miss Grand International 2022 after Yuvna Rinishta of Mauritius resigned. No Filipina beauty queen has been crowned winner of Miss Grand International. BPC still has 3 franchises: Miss International Philippines, Miss Globe Philippines, and Miss Intercontinental Philippines. And again, thank you for joining us here in ASEAN in Focus. As my usual habit, I'd like to end today on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. Again, I'm Gina Pablo, and we live in extraordinary times.